and a memento
for mankind. Small episode which has happened yesterday.
Friends, Tripura has been a great turning point in my life. I must admit this. How I am going to structure today's interaction is that I'll speak for some time, my experiences, and then leave the house open for discussion on any issue. I need no introduction because most of my family members sitting here know me, they have worked with me, they have interacted with me. Those who have joined the judiciary in the recent past, after 2018, let me share this with you, that I have had the good fortune, and I insist two of my colleagues also to do so, to travel each and every corner of Tripura. It's a wonderful state, wonderful people, well-meaning people. Yesterday I happened to visit one BSF camp where I wrote this, that the people of Tripura are more nationalist, more Indian, more patriotic than those in the hinterland. Genuinely, your people have a golden heart, and you are absolutely broad-minded and open for sharing views and expressing your views, as also listening to the views of the others. This is what really Constitution talks about, and asks us to discharge our duties with an open mind. Tripura has been a turning point in my life because when I left Himachal Pradesh, my homeland, and I was asked to take over the responsibilities as Chief Justice of this court. I think, if I am not mistaken, I was the third Chief Justice. Honorable Justice Gupta was the first, the fourth Chief Justice, Justice by Rastogi, correct. So I travelled the state. The reason was this, that I wanted to know the people, I wanted to know the difficulties which the art, the culture, and unless and until you have a perspective of the problems at the ground level, ground root, at the ground, you would not be able to really dispense justice. So I travelled across the state. I was here for approximately 11 months, and then I was asked to first go to Jharkhand and then go to Patna. And from Patna, as you are aware, God has been kind with the blessings of my parents, and above all the good wishes of those with whom I have worked all throughout. Now I am ordained to discharge the judicial functions from the highest court. Indeed, it is a great honor, not for myself, but also for the state of Himachal Pradesh, the state of Tripura, and the state of Patna. And it is only on account of the good wishes of friends like you, whom I have over the years endeared, or who have endeared me in their thoughts and actions, that I have been able to reach there. To begin with, I would say this, that when Honorable the Acting Chief Justice spoke with me and wanted me to speak on any one of the 4 topics which he gave me, so I said that I would rather interact with my colleagues, with my family, then have a lecture which is undoubtedly of great importance and significance, but it's better to be practical rather than have discussion in abstract. 2 days conclave. I must congratulate Honorable Justice Lord. Speakers have been here. Met one of the speakers yesterday in the flight. Yes, I am sure you have been brainwashed, so to say, and it must have been very, very heavy on you, so therefore I want to keep it very light. I have great experiences of Tripura, and I must inform the Honorable Acting Chief Justice that in the last 2 years particularly, there is not even a single day that I have not wished well or thought of the High Court of Tripura in my prayers. And the reason is this. First, in my prayers I would always pray of my home High Court, which is Himachal Pradesh. Because for me, I think this place where we discharge our functions is the temple. Undoubtedly, we call it Temple of Justice, but unless and until we adapt ourselves, we conceive and perceive ourselves, our minds in this manner, we are not according to me, not in a position to emulate and discharge our functions. So every day I would think of the Himachal High Court as a place of worship, Tripura High Court as a place of worship, and the Patna High Court, where I was discharging my duties, as a place of worship. I will also pray this, that those who are adorning these seats in these courts continue to discharge the functions as is mandated under the Constitution, and also as is expected of the judiciary from the people. Because our last ray or hope of the democracy lies in this pillar of democracy, which undoubtedly has to be very, very strong. There's no doubt in our mind, and there should be no doubt in the mind of each one of us, be it the Chief Justice of this court, or Judge of the Supreme Court, or the newly inducted Judge of Tripura, that each one of us have to work with independent mind, proper application, and also maintain our integrity and independence, and the institution has to be built strongly each day. I was came in the Constitution, Rameshwar Prasad, pertain to the land laws, civil laws. It arose not because of the petition filed under Article 226 or 227, no, or 132 or 32. It came only because of the judgment delivered by a sub-judge who expanded or who enunciated the scopes of the Constitution. Now, therefore, for illustratively, another example I'll give. The power of nuisance. Now, yesterday I was traveling in the state of, in your state or my state. I realized that of late there are huge garbage which has been splitted all over. So, under CRPC, the power to initiate action under nuisance, public nuisance, it is not necessary that the acting Chief Justice would take us home out of PAL and initiate action for implementing the various environmental laws or laws pertaining to pollution. Even you at your level can do it. So the emphasis is this, the point is this, that you have to be absolutely well-read and open and sensitive to the needs of the people. Therefore I emphasize that you need to travel. Another issue which I can point out to you, now if I imagine North Tripura is the only area where I have not been, rest all I have been in the entire state. Now imagine that think of yourself as a judicial officer, and therefore you will be able to relate to the common man and the sufferings or the needs, if not suffering, then the needs of the common man. A lady judicial officer has to travel from Tripura, North Tripura is the North Tripura to attend this conclave here. Two fact situations I will give. You are travelling by car, which is given by the High Court or by the judiciary. The other person is a lady who is also travelling by public transport. Now, where would that lady use public conveniences for covering a distance of 6 to 7 hours? Where would an old and infirm patient, an aged person, use these public conveniences? Because there are none in existence. Now when we set up the highways, and these are the issues which come to our mind, these are just illustrations I am giving. When these highways are set up, then these are the provisions which are mandated. The contractor necessarily has to put up this infrastructure. So only when you travel you will realize that and relate to the issues at the grassroots level, the ground level. Therefore I always insist on travel, and there is no better education than travel. Coming to travel also, I must insist on one thing, that we are not government servants. Let us be very clear. Our mindset is not hum sarkari babu or sarkari naukar nahi. I am sure Hindi can be understood, no? So I am now speaking in both the languages. We are here to serve the nation. We are not sarkari babus. We are not bureaucrats. We are neither politicians. But we serve under the constitution, and it is with this spirit, each passing day, with each passing breath, that we have to serve. And also let me tell you that we are not in a rat race. Because if we consider this to be a rat race, then we will become only rats only. Then we will not discharge and dispense the functions which are mandated in the Constitution. We have to transform ourselves. It's a process of continued education. And in this continued education, we transform ourselves as greater human beings. Because unless and until you show compassion, you show love, and you show affection in the discharge of your judicial functions, you will not be able to render justice. So the moment you transform yourself as good human beings or greater human beings, not to be compared with other, because each person is a separate individual, but keeping in view the constitutional framework in your mind, then we will be in a position to render justice. Now, what is justice? When we have, there are so many definitions. I don't want to today go and make this as an abstract lecture or an abstract. Rule of law and justice. There are so many definitions. Supreme Court illustratively has dealt with this issue. But for a person who is before us, justice is only that which from the dais, sitting on the dais, we don't frown upon him. We don't look down upon him. Because from there he is looking upon us to see that he is heard patiently, and that he will get a decision which in his heart he knows is the correct decision. In a case, of course, you have to decide, you have to deliver a judgment. It has to be in favor of one party, it has to be against one party. But he has the satisfaction of having been heard. So, justice has to be rendered in a manner where we maintain our discipline, our equanimity, show love and compassion, even if we are disallowing his prayer. It has to be done in a manner so as to not to make it offensive. Special drive was initiated, and then it took about 2 years to reach out to every household, that just in case if there are such documents lying in their home, where parties have settled, please go to the court immediately and have a proper deed or process of settlement in whichever way entered into. So these are the ways and the tools which I am saying that ADR mechanism, artificial intelligence is now being spoken about. Whatever definition you may say so, these are only tools for enabling us to render justice at the earliest. They are not to substitute our mind, human beings. I am 100% of this view. These are tools. So engage yourselves by these the tools, computerization which is there. Adopt for ADR mechanism. Have a code of conduct, self-code of conduct for yourself, so that it instills confidence in the minds of the people. And ultimately, as I had said earlier, that you are the pillar of the strongest pillar of democracy. And each one of you is a link in that chain which makes it stronger. Because Tripura is one such state. I must also inform the Honorable the Acting Chief Justice and Honorable Justice Lord that I am your great ambassador. I have always been your great ambassador. Wherever I have been going, I have always been saying that Tripura is a place worth visiting, and you must visit. It's got natural beauty, it's got lots of places in abundance to be seen, with diverse interest which everyone has in their mind. A lot of beauty is there, and interacting with the tribal people has been my passion. I remember Brother Lord and Brother Talpatra, we went to that lake. What was that name of the lake? Number Lake. 2-3 times we went there and we interacted with the people. Chabimora I travelled yesterday, yes, I travelled. But earlier we went from Chabimora to Maharani Ganj and travelled to the borders also. There was a hut at the border hut, and that is how I never forget Tripura. Tripura has been great training ground, so to say, for me, and it has helped me transform a great person. Another thing which I need to just 2-3 points I wish to cover. I am always of this view that you are answerable only to one person. Kindly pardon me, Honorable Acting Chief Justice, or for that matter the inspecting judge. You are only answerable to one person, and that person is yourself, and above you the God Almighty. That's what all. So if you have a good sleep at night and you wake up fresh in the morning with no worries, I think that's nothing better than that. If you sit in the court as per the court timings, right from 10 to 4 or whatever the timings are, automatically things start falling in place. At least those who have worked with me I know that even when there was not much work, because in Tripura the pendency was just 2,600 at that point of time. So I had an option of sitting in the court till 4 o'clock or getting up at 2 o'clock and 1 o'clock and go back. No, but all three of us, right from 10 o'clock till lunch, and then lunch also hurriedly finish, and then as per the court timing we sat. So we maintained discipline, and when you maintain this discipline in your life, your staff will also maintain discipline. And when the staff maintains discipline, sitting there, he will not sit idle. He will fill up your forms. He will fill up all registers, which of course must have been digitalized now. But the entire information will be passed on immediately. You pass an order of release of a convict. Of what use is it if it is not implemented immediately? The order is not transmitted to the authorities because it affects his civil rights, constitutional rights. Talking of constitutional rights, we must also take care of one thing, and that is that we are not always to think of the right of a victim, right of the accused, but we must also think of the right of the victim in equal measure. That has to be kept in mind. On my left, Honorable the Acting Chief Justice, Honorable Justice Amarnath Karol. To my right, Honorable Mr. Justice Lodh. A very good morning to both of my esteemed colleagues. And a very, very, very good morning, pranam, namaskar to my entire judicial fraternity and family, dear judicial officers, the learned registrar, the member of the judge in charge of the Judicial Academy, through you to the entire judicial fraternity, those who are here and those who are not here for the reason that they have to perform and discharge their statutory functions, three of whom I met yesterday. To begin with, I must thank Honorable the Acting Chief Justice for having given me this opportunity, for having remembered me, so to say, on this momentous occasion. I must also thank Honorable Justice Lodh for having invited me on this momentous day. I'm getting sentimental, I'm getting emotional for the reason that today we are celebrating the 10th birthday of this great institution, which is the High Court of Tripura. I think congratulations to all of us who are present here. I must also, off the record, I thought I'll share, but nonetheless from the dais I can speak because we are a family. I must also take this opportunity of belatedly though congratulating my esteemed colleague Lodh, because yesterday was his birthday. So belated happy birthday, Justice Lodh, to you please. Democracy, we always say that there are 4 pillars. When I came here, because I have served the institution, the executive as the Advocate General, I was always of this view that insulation and isolation of the judiciary is must, undoubtedly. But we have a stake in democracy under the Constitution. We cannot shut our eyes, we cannot become untouchable to the executive. I am not talking of the political executive, but I am talking of the executive. So we cannot become untouchable or make them untouchable. For after all, we have to work here with a common object and common purpose. And that being to render justice in accordance with law, which is quick, just and expeditious. My experience of Tripura has helped me, I must acknowledge this, in dealing with the larger High Court, perhaps one of the biggest High Courts of the country, and that is the Patna High Court. When I went to Patna, I was not quite sure, honestly, that how I would be handling that place. You can't imagine, there are 102 of you here. There I had 1600 judicial officers. At the High Court, the strength of the bar was 18,000, with 3 bar associations at the level of the High Court. So there was a coordination committee and I had to handle that court. But how did I handle that court? And I must acknowledge this, that the personal rapport which I had developed with the judicial officers here, who worked with me 24/7, and I will not fail to acknowledge the contribution of my personal staff, including Pradeep, who is sitting here, who worked with me tirelessly. I had 2 colleagues, Honorable Justice Talapatra and Brother Lodh, who travelled with me extensively. We interacted with each of the bar associations. We could understand the difficulties which the judicial officer was facing. We could understand and comprehend the difficulties which the members of the bar association were facing. We could understand and comprehend the difficulties which the litigants were understanding. So this training, so to say, as a probationer officer in Tripura, helped me deal with a very, humongous task which was assigned to me in Bihar. And I must share this with you, that when I went to Bihar, so there used to be mentioning every day for listing of the matters because of huge volumes. When I came to Tripura, the pendency of the High Court at that point of time was 3600. The pendency of the lower courts, if I correctly remember the figure, was, Brother Lord would correct me if I'm wrong, or Dhiman, who was the CPC at that point of time, would correct me, was about 60,000. So when I came here, so the first thing I did to myself was that get myself educated and appraised and informed of the tools which we were to utilize for the purposes of dispensing justice, and that was the computerization, the computers. So we worked extensively. I remember, I can see, if I correctly remember, Devarma, see. So Devarma was there, Hanchman. So he would get irritated every day, and every day he would be at my house at 12 o'clock at night, and we worked together. And thank you for educating me. And that is how I was able to apply information and technology in Bihar. Resultantly, that Bihar today, when I left, was the first court in the country having the highest digital filing, e-filing in the country. A system was evolved, of course, because of COVID. I can't see Pandey. Yes. बिहार का आप तो मुलाकात नहीं की आपने बिहार आके. Anyhow, I could see. So we were able to transform, and the transformation was it was a momentous tectonic shift, I would say, in the mindset from physical filing to digital filing. COVID, of course, gave that opportunity, and we were able to digitalize everything so much so that none came. Even today, when I left, there was no need to have a physical hearing. One could sit at home, the bench partner would sit at home, the court master would sit at home and hear our proceedings, dictate the order and digitally upload it, so everything was there on the website. Both these judicial officers whose name I took came out with an idea which I applied here. Why is it that the pendency in Tripura was lopsided? At the High Court level only 3600, and at the lower judiciary 60,000. There was no explanation to it. So when we looked at it, then we realized that most of the officers perhaps were having, for various reasons, had wanting to apply for leave and so on and so forth. So we digitalized that, and we uploaded the information on the website. I don't know whether your website still carries it or not, but we had a system where the leave of a judicial officer was made online and it was uploaded on the website. And I realized that immediately the pendency, it had a direct impact on the reduction of pendency. Another tool which we implemented here was the ADR mechanism. If Brother Lord would recollect, that we adopted a progressive approach of implementing Section 89 and having the cases, informing the people of their rights. And young friends, I am saying this with great emphasis. Let me tell you one thing, that the judicial officer, newly appointed judicial officer who is to discharge his functions on the first day, is required to and has the powers of doing so what the Honorable Judge of a Supreme Court has. He has the very same power of dispensing justice under the Constitution and in terms of the Constitution as the Judge of the Supreme Court is, except for 142, 136, 226, he cannot exercise. But what all can be done under these three powers under the Constitution can be done also by the judge at the sub-judge level, or the CJM level, or the CJM level. Illustratively, I'll just give you the Union Carbide case. What was held by the Union Carbide by Honorable the Supreme Court, the same power the CJM would have had or had at that point